The Utah desert had always whispered secrets. Beneath its red soil and jagged rock formations, time buried legends in layers of sediment and silence. Blind Frog Ranch was no exception. The land pulsed with mystery, shadowy tales of lost treasures, inexplicable machinery, and ancient artifacts that had no business being there. But nothing had prepared the crew for what they were about to uncover. It began with an anomaly. Deep scans of the subterranean layers revealed an object that defied explanation. It was perfectly round, far denser than the surrounding material, and embedded roughly 60 feet underground. At first glance, it was dismissed as a boulder or pocket of mineralized ore. But as the data poured in, it became clear this was not a natural formation. Something metallic lurked beneath the surface, and the instruments picked up strange magnetic fields pulsing from it. The drilling began cautiously. The crew, hardened by years of battling collapsing tunnels, flooding caverns, and equipment failures, moved with practiced precision. Yet the deeper they dug, the stranger the behavior of their tools. Compasses spun wildly. Electronic sensors flickered and shorted out. Even the drills began to hum with an odd resonance as they neared the object. At 62 feet, the tip of the bore hit something solid. The sound was different, neither rock nor ore, but something far more refined. The shavings that came up from the core were unlike anything they'd seen. Shimmering flecks of dark metal glinted in the desert sun, far denser than iron, and immune to oxidation. Initial testing stunned the crew. The sample was rich in iridium, a metal so rare on Earth that it's most often associated with extraterrestrial objects, asteroids, comets, and meteorites. The implications were staggering. Iridium wasn't found in large natural deposits. It simply didn't occur in such quantities unless it had arrived from space. This wasn't a buried relic of an ancient civilization. This was something not of this Earth, a meteorite, perhaps, but one that had been hidden beneath the Utah desert for millennia. Further analysis revealed that the object wasn't just a lump of metal. Scans showed structured density, layers, even chambers, within the meteor. It was hollow in places, as though something had been engineered or naturally formed inside it. One section emitted a faint, rhythmic pulse in the electromagnetic spectrum, an unmistakable signal. What had fallen into the earth all those centuries ago? The team excavated a chamber around the object, careful not to damage it. As the surrounding rock was cleared, the full extent of the meteor's size came into view. It spanned nearly 12 feet in diameter and bore surface markings that hinted at intense heat and friction, likely from atmospheric entry. Yet some patterns appeared deliberate, etched lines and geometric grooves that didn't match natural meteor scarring. Radiocarbon dating of the soil layers around the impact site placed the object's arrival to over 10,000 years ago, long before any known advanced civilization existed in North America. The idea that this meteor may have crashed into the Earth during the last ice age sent a ripple of excitement through the crew. But the evidence now suggested more than a simple impact. The meteor had not come in fast. The angle of entry, the limited damage to surrounding strata, and the precision of its final resting place pointed toward a controlled descent. It hadn't crashed. It had landed. Inside the meteor's structure, the magnetic field intensified. When probes were inserted into one of the fractures, sensors detected a sudden temperature drop, despite the ambient desert heat. A blue glow emanated faintly from the crack, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. Instruments recorded unusual isotopes within the iridium, ones that defied known nuclear decay chains. Then the machines began to fail. First the sensors, then the drill rig. Cameras went dark, batteries drained in moments, and hard drives were corrupted. A magnetic field was building around the object, surging in unpredictable waves. The team retreated from the excavation site, watching in awe and fear as the blue glow intensified for several minutes, then faded, leaving behind only silence and a faint hum. Samples retrieved earlier were rushed to a lab for deep analysis. What they found was extraordinary. The material contained traces of osmium, platinum, and isotopes not found in Earth's crust. Electron microscopy revealed microstructures resembling nanotech filaments embedded within the metallic matrix. Whatever this object was, it wasn't a mere space rock. It had complexity, a kind of design. The question loomed: who, or what, had sent it? Speculation swirled. Theories ranged from ancient alien probes to long-lost civilizations with forgotten technology. Some team members believed it was a storage capsule, others, a beacon. There was even speculation that it could until a specific environmental trigger awakened it. Whatever its purpose, the crew had only scratched the surface. Night after night, the desert seemed to change. Strange lights flickered across the horizon. Static bursts interrupted the radio channels, carrying no signal, just a soft, rhythmic clicking. Motion sensors triggered without explanation. Animals in the area vanished or refused to go near the dig site. One evening, during a final attempt to drill into the side of the object, the ground shook. Not like an earthquake, more like a vibration from deep below. A low-frequency hum echoed through the rocks, felt in the chest more than heard. The METEOR began to shift. What happened next defied all understanding. The outer layer of the METEOR retracted, split along micro-seams like petals of a flower. Inside, encased in a matrix of metallic veins, was a glowing crystalline core. It pulsed with light and color, shifting in hues not visible in the standard spectrum. Cameras couldn't capture it properly. Infrared scans were distorted. The crew stood frozen, transfixed by the silent language of this alien light. Then, as quickly as it opened, the METEOR sealed itself shut. The glow faded. The hum ceased. The object returned to dormancy, as if waiting once more. After that day, the team halted the dig. The risk was too great, and the meaning too vast to interpret without deeper research. But they left behind sensors and instruments, constantly monitoring the site. Occasionally, the pulse returned, soft and steady, like a sleeping giant's breath. The discovery was kept under tight wraps, shared only with select scientific contacts. Independent labs confirmed the findings, but few dared speak publicly about the implications. Theories blossomed in secret. Was this a remnant of a spacefaring civilization? A black box from a cosmic catastrophe? A message in material form, left by travelers older than the stars? Blind Frog Ranch had long been a place of mystery, but the discovery of the Iridium METEOR had changed everything. It wasn't just treasure hidden beneath the earth. It was knowledge, possibly a warning, perhaps a gift, and so it remained, buried again, not by accident, but by choice. The crew knew that what they had uncovered was not meant for hasty exploration. Some doors are better left unopened until the world is ready to understand what lies beyond. The morning sun barely pierced the dense haze hovering above Blind Frog Ranch. Heat waves shimmered off the rust-red soil, warping the jagged shadows of the desert scrub. For months, the crew had battled sinkholes, flooded shafts, and malfunctioning gear, but something about this week felt different. Machines hummed with more intensity. Instruments picked up faint pulses. Even the birds had grown quiet. High above, a drone scanned the ridge topography, feeding data to a monitor where irregular magnetic fields danced across the screen. Deep below, a tunnel reinforced with steel ribs led into the earth, where the crew worked tirelessly to uncover the source of the latest anomaly. At the lowest chamber, roughly 65 feet beneath the surface, workers in headlamps operated heavy excavation equipment with delicate precision. They weren't mining for gold or oil. They were tracking something ancient, something silent, something metallic. The drills struck something strange that morning. A single sharp clang echoed like a bell through the tunnel, unlike rock or clay. The bit retracted, revealing not shattered stone, but a sliver of shimmering black-gray metal, dense and untouched by corrosion. A sample was rushed to the surface. Tests conducted inside the mobile lab revealed the impossible. The fragment was almost entirely iridium, one of Earth's rarest and densest metals, so rare, in fact, that its presence in large quantities usually signals an extraterrestrial origin. Silence fell over the crew as the implications settled in. This wasn't from any known vein or deposit. It was not part of Earth's geologic record. It had fallen from the stars. The crew shifted their focus entirely to this new target. They worked in careful shifts, removing layer after layer of compacted clay and sandstone, revealing more of the object's surface. What emerged over the next 48 hours stunned even the most skeptical team members. A perfect sphere, roughly 12 feet in diameter, rested inside a mineral cocoon. Its surface was smooth but marked with sharp, unnatural grooves, lines that followed a geometric pattern, spiraling inward toward a central notch. It looked less like a meteorite and more like a designed object. Yet it bore the scorched exterior common to objects entering Earth's atmosphere at incredible speed. Still, the tunnel and surrounding strata showed little evidence of a violent crash. Whatever it was had not smashed into the Earth. It had settled here, deliberately, or by some unknown force.